I suggest putting something on your cake drum like I have here. This is a piece of parchment paper. It stops the cake from having direct contact with the decorated drum because we really don't know what's going on that drum. Now onto the cake. This is a heart cake, or this is going to be a decorated heart cake. This is just me doing a basic fill with buttercream, stacking the cake, and getting it ready to decorate. Once you've had all your cakes stacked, you want to go ahead and put a crumb coat on, which I'll be doing in a second. The crumb coat continues. Look at the crumb coat. This starts your basic shape. Once the crumb coat is done, then you go around and you start I guess you would call the full frost. I did it in a pink buttercream because the cake was going to be pink and the theme was pretty shades of pink. So I use the buttercream as my base because I'm going to decorate around that. For a lot of people that know or have had cakes of mine, I usually like to put a very thick coat of buttercream in between the actual cake and the fondant, because most people don't like fondant. Most people don't like to eat fondant. So I do a really thick coat of buttercream so that you can have buttercream instead of fondant as a frosting. Now, this is my second coat. I did the first frost, and now this is the second frost just to make sure everything is smooth, make sure everything is even. I'm filling up the gaps as you see me filling up the gaps, because for me, I always believe that the buttercream and the decorations are only as good as the buttercream layer beneath it. So you're not going to find a lot of air pockets or a lot of dents or divots in my cakes because, yes, I am a little excessive and OCD with things. So I usually take my time to frost it. This video is still kind of sped up quickly, but usually it will take me, sometimes I'm so embarrassed to admit it, it will take me about a half an hour, sometimes 45 minutes to frost these cakes. Now we're on to the fondant. I'm rolling out the fondant that's going to be placed on the cake because this cake is going to have images laid on the body. So I don't lay the images directly on the fondant itself. I mean, on the buttercream itself. I usually like to lay it on the fondant. I just think it's a cleaner look. It stops it from having air bubbles, stops it from being greasy or messy. Again, I am very extra and OCD with things. So yes, I like things a particular way. This may cost me a lot of time, but my thing is, you're paying for it, so I might as well give you what I consider the best. You know, argue with somebody else. Don't argue with me. Argue with your mama. Now the cake is completely frosted. Now I'm laying the fondant on. Now for me, I usually will spray the buttercream with some water. Just because it will allow the fondant to attach to it a little easier. So here I am doing a panel effect. So usually I'll panel one side, make sure it's nice and smooth. Then I'll go onto the other side, as you'll see here in the video, cutting the top off either with scissors or an X-Acto knife. So the cake is completely covered now. Now I'm on to just making sure that the fondant is completely smooth before I put the pictures on. So this is me just making sure everything is smooth and there's no air bubbles as much as I can. You know, of course, there's no such thing as a perfect cake, but I do my best to make it as perfect as I want it for myself. So this is just, you know, it's another process, just making sure everything is smooth. Now, after everything is smooth, I went on to laying down the photograph, or paint, or should I say putting the photographs on the side of the cake. So this is me actually painting the cake with an edible glue piping gel. Some people like to use water, but I think water is a little more unforgiving with fondant because it makes the fondant really, really tacky. And if I need to like move the pictures over a little bit or readjust it, you really can't adjust it as much using the water. And it actually gives you, to me, a little more space to kind of make mistakes. For example, if your hands are wet or if your fingers are wet after you use the water, then it's going to smudge the image. So then you have to go back and print out more images. And if anybody knows about edible paper and edible ink, this stuff is not cheap. It is expensive. So who wants to mess it up? So this is me paneling the images. I did the images on my computer using a program. I'm not sure what other programs people use, but I like to use, it's called Print Shop. So once I designed the image, I printed it out on the edible paper, and then went ahead and cut it out to size it for the cake. And this is just me applying everything on the body of the cake. Oh, are you still with me? I thought I lost you, but here we go. Now, this is the part where I've already printed out and created an edible image, designed it with the young lady's photo on the top. I've taken that, rolled out some fondant, and then taken the edible image and laid it on top of the fondant and cut it out. That's what you just saw. Now I'm using my piping gel. Again, some people like to use buttercream. Some people like to use water. Again, I love the piping gel because it's a little more forgiving when you start to place these images on top of the cake. You get to move it around. It doesn't get stuck. It doesn't smudge as easily. It's just, to me, more of a foolproof technique. Use whatever technique you like, but this is the one I decided to use and I always use. So now I'm taking the image and placing it on top of the cake, making sure that it's centered, making sure that I like the position. And then once I do that, then I'm going to start decorating around the body of the cake. This cake, they gave me creative liberty. If you know anything about me, you know I like a little bling. I'm a bling girl. I also like leopard print. I like what I like. So if you give me creative liberty and you say just go ahead and do your thing, more than likely you're going to get a little bit or a lot of bling. So this cake got a little bling on it. So this is just me sizing up the strips before I cut them. These are strips that have self-adhesive on the back, so I don't need to use anything else to attach it. It's completely safe, guys, because it's not touching the cake. It's not touching anything that's actually gonna somebody's gonna digest. And usually when I do deliver cakes and give give instructions on how to cut the cake, I make sure I let people know to remove all of these things before you ingest the cake. So completely safe. Don't argue with me, argue with your mama. Now I've sized everything, put the bling on the side of the cake. Now I am piping around the cake, the fun part. This means I'm almost done. Look at God. Won't he do it? Now for you, this might have been maybe a 10, 12-minute video, but for me, this was an all-day project. And again, because I'm crazy, because I'm anal, because I'm OCD, there's a lot that goes into this. It is a process on top of processes on top of processes. So when I get to this point, I am really, really happy because I feel like I'm towards the end of my punishment and my long end of suffering. Yeah, sometimes I do feel like I'm suffering through this because guess what? I'd rather be doing what you're doing. Nothing. Taking a nap, relaxing, going outside, hanging out with my friends. I don't know, but this is not always the thing that I've decided to do with my weekends. Okay, so here we are. We are piping the cake, and of course it's a heart-shaped cake, so I want to make sure that I keep that heart shape because sometimes some people, I've seen them pipe the cakes and it no longer looks like a heart. Now, final part of the decorating. This is the part that kind of makes me crazy, trying to place the little final details on it. So you're just going to see me going a little crazy, trying to figure out where to place these last little details. But for the most part, the cake is done. Yay, we've done it. And the crowd goes wild. Okay, guys, this is it. This is the final product. This is the heart cake completely finished. I hope you were able to get something out of this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. This cake took me about 16, 17 hours from start to finish to create, from the images, from the cake itself, from frosting to decorating, from everything. This was a process, but I feel like it was well worth it. The birthday girl really loved her cake. And again, thank you for watching. Until next time.